Well, this has got to be another one of those kind of nights. Third one's the charm tonight, isn't it? It's August 11th, 2020. It's 10:21 at night. River John C., Roseman, California. How you doing? Someone had posted on social media regarding an excellent situation that I wanted to talk about, and it stirred a lot of feelings inside of me. This may be a long topic. I'm sorry about this one. But then again, some of the topics I do are long. And this one isn't imperative, I think. It's about choice. It's about decision. It's about will. A story going around social media is in a store. There was an older gentleman and a younger child. The younger child's trying to find her mommy. She is going in between lines and looking for her mommy and not being 6 feet apart from people. This one older adult decided to yell at the child for not being 6 feet apart, yelling loudly at the kid to scare the crap out of him, without trying to figure out what was going on with the kid. Raised up a stir in one social media group I'm with, and having a conversation trying to explain the situation. An argument is whether or not, if the man was conditioned by other influences around him, or that he came across for a long while, possibly molded his opinions in a way where he is not held responsible for demonstrating his rights or his opinions, even though it does hurt another person a great deal. And the other argument is choice. Choice. Will. Decision. The man seen a situation, and for whatever reason, he took it out on a child who was looking for her parent. He did not know that she was looking for her parent. If the man had investigated, things would have been different, but there was an assumption made. The assumption is you don't have all the facts. You're judging on the spot without finding out why. And you make the decision of yelling at a kid without really understanding why. It's not the action of yelling at a kid. It's the decision and the will to do so. We're not talking about suppression of First Amendment rights here. What we're talking about is accountability. Accountability and transparency. My personal belief is we are all held accountable for our own actions, our own thoughts, our own feelings, here and in the afterlife. We are held to a higher standard. We have rules, we have scruples, we have things we have learned in our lifetime. We have been influenced by a lot of outside sources that govern and shape our thoughts and our lives and our feelings. The argument would be, because of those forces that shaped us, we blame the forces for our decisions that we made. My contention is we still have to live with the decision that we've made, either split second or amount of time it's taken to understand and make that decision. Arguments like this have been made when war crime tribunals are made and other cases are made in courts, blaming others constantly for their actions at the time, but it is the will, it is the decision, it is the action of that individual. They decided inside. They made the choice. They performed the deed. They are held accountable. They have tried to do this action in Nuremberg, which is a very famous case. And hardly everybody else remembers the damn thing. And the problem with this is, there's a movie out there called Judgment at Nuremberg, about 3 hours plus. And it details what the Nazis had did in World War II. There were 3 people being put on trial in this movie. A retired judge and a former military man, and the third guy I forgot. But they were all representative of the former government that the Allies had fought to stop the Axis powers from doing their dastardly deeds. And there were arguments made in here concerning about the reasons why things were done. And the actual trials themselves, the excuse was always, I was following orders. The thing in the military is, I'm a civilian, so that is something of an area that is still befuddling to me, but I have spent time with vets trying to understand that in certain conditions, they feel they have no choice but to do the deed, to take actions that normally would not be required, but felt it was necessary at that moment, without realizing that maybe down the road it's going to affect them a great deal. And that also happens for personal decisions as well. All the political activity we've been having over the past, God knows how many decades going on, people have blamed each other, they've blamed outside sources for their action and activities, because they didn't want to be held to a higher state of accountability. And that's the horrible thing about the situation here, is people refusing to take responsibility for their own actions. They made the choice. They said they were forced, they were compelled. They made the choice, they made the decision to be part of it, whatever it was, in the situation, any action being taken place. This would be a prosecuting style way of looking at things. And also in defense, is we blame others for our mistakes. But the judge has to make that determination. Was it for the right intentions? Was it for the right reasons? And were they held culpable? And that's the thing, isn't it? Because I haven't seen that these days. I haven't seen anybody take any responsibility for their own actions, their own words. They blame everybody else. They think it's a joke. They act like it's a joke. A lot of things happen in our lives. And we still have to make split-second decisions based on our guts, based on the situation at hand, that those actions taken may have repercussions in the future that will affect anybody and everybody, and also that person who did it. There's no way for us to know. There's no way to know about that ripple effect until after the thing's been done. We can use excuses, we can use cover-ups, but we're the ones that have to be held to a higher standard. They call it brainwashing. Social media did this. Liberal media did this. Socialists did this. Communists did this. No, the individuals did it. The individuals performed the deed, and therefore they are held accountable. Period. Regardless of what education they received, they had to make the decision. Inside our head is this thinking organism. Driving it is our human will, our spirit, our force of nature, whatever you may call it. We have to make that decision to force the organ to perform its tasks in order for whatever bodily function it's going to do. We have certain functions in our human body that perform things automatically. They're autonomous. We have no control over them. Breathing. We can try taking control of our breathing every so often when we focus on it. We walk, and sometimes we're able to focus on it, and other times we're not. We use our hands. Same situation. The impulse is going through to the nerves, to the muscles, to perform the task. As I'm doing this, I'm performing something that my brain, my will, has forced control of muscles to communicate vocally, to express whatever emotion my face may be feeling at that time, or what's going through the voice, the inflections, the tones. And this is still controlled by will. It's controlled. We still have control. We have control over our lives to a point. Beyond that point, we cannot control the sky, yet the sky is there. We cannot control the shaking of the mountains or the ground, but we know it's there, and it affects us internally. The external stimulus affects us emotionally and physically to where we're reacting to that. That is autonomic. Our fight and flight situation goes on. However, a man approaches a little girl and yells because she is not out of the 6 feet range, she's within. He's mad because she's not obeying the rules. And all she was trying to do was locate her mommy. One example I used on social media was the firing line. In order to be part of the fire line, you had to make the conscious choice to be held to a higher accountability, to be part of a firing line, and using a weapon at a target or a subject matter. You are going to be engaging. You have made the conscious decision. You have made the conscious choice to be part of this. You were probably given a lot of information about this. You were handed the device to be used. And this device is going to be used against the target or the topic. And you are part of the line. Other people have made the choice. However, the objects that you carry, you don't know which one has the object of destruction or opposition. You only know that your weapon has been handed to you. You've made the choice to be in that line. And there is a loud sound of triggers being depressed and the expulsion of the opposition to the topic. You felt the kickback. You're thinking, did I fire the opposition to make the point across to the target? Did the target comply, or did the target die? Was it by my hands or by everybody else's hands? We all claim we did the job. We as a group, we were influenced, according to one argument. But we made the choice to be there. We didn't have a gun pointing at our head and voice behind the gun would say, "You're going to do this." You have simply no choice. You had a choice. You made the choice. Either to die by the idiot's gun, or you're going to do the idiot's job for him. You made the choice. You depressed the weapon. You depressed the trigger. Your weapon discharged. Regardless if you actually fired the round at the target, didn't matter. You made the choice. You could have just said, "I'm not doing this." You made the choice. And that's the argument made in a lot of situations. And nobody takes accountability and no responsibility about this damn thing. Except to say that, yeah, we all did it. What about the individual who actually did it? Well, we don't know. Somebody else must have killed, but we're all in a group. We all did it. Yes. And if it was found, whoever did it would be held accountable. Some people will say, weapons of that topic deserved it. Were they just? Was it a justified shooting? Was it a justified murder? Was it a justified incident? What was the justification for all of it? Was the topic judged fairly enough? Was this part of a sentence? Was this part of wartime? There's always context. There's always context behind each decision. There's always a story. Do we know it? Do we want to know it? Do we want to understand it? And that's why people have a problem trying to communicate with me. Because I don't think on that group level. I don't think on that sheep level. I don't think being part of the damn sheep, I'm wandering away because I don't want to be part of that damn flock. People say that I may have been influenced by a lot of things in my life. Well, we all have. One way or another, we all have. But we still have to be held to a higher accountability for our decisions, our actions. People complain about freedom of speech being curtailed in social media. They think that you can say anything you want in social media up to a point. And they keep pushing that point. And they keep forgetting that social media is corporate. And they are governed. They're not governed by government, they're governed by profits. They're governed by board of directors, stockholders, CEO. What they think what the public and consumer wants. But they only give them so much of a leash before they are yanked back and they gripe. They want to hold the company accountable for their lack of freedom. They keep forgetting that their freedom was never there to begin with, but they're still held accountable for their actions. They're still held accountable for their decisions. They're still responsible for whatever they type. And people gripe and grumble about that all the time. And let them. This is a constitutional situation here. This is an argument that's going to be ongoing for who knows how long. SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, had made decisions. I am not sure which ones, but I was familiar with a few of them back in the past. And trying to decipher that corporate had been made into a public entity, or actually into an individual entity. So it changed things. It changed a lot of things. And people have forgotten about that too. They don't research. They don't try to analyze. But at the heat of the moment, there's none of that. It's only by reflective that they figure this shit out. Language. Choice. Not automatic. Choice. A lot of people do that. Use it automatically and don't even realize it. But subconsciously, it's still a choice. Of language. Of will. Of decision. Accountability. Of consequences. Choice. With that choice, I end this.